So, Alaska Farmers Market Association's 2020 annual meeting. That's what we're calling this. Yeah, so this is our third annual conference. And whoops.
Sorry. Okay, got it now. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. And we're really excited to have gotten to this point. It's been a long journey. There's been a lot of work going into it. I really want to thank our board of directors for all of their commitment to this organization and seeing the value in it. You know, as an all volunteer run organization or board, it takes a lot of commitment and time to have brought these markets all together and have this voice. So really, I want to, we're talking about the Farmers Market Association and what we've been doing. What really, one of the most valuable things that the Farmers Market Association is about is bringing all of us together, all of you together, all the markets, all the producers, all the agency folks, so that direct-to-consumer farmers and vendors and cottage food industries have a unified voice speaking up for them and really speaking up for the value in what we do, not only in food security, food access. We have all, many different sections of what we're trying to help the farmers of the future, the farmers of now, to have a space, to have this market. As much as we depend on the farmers to grow the food, without a market, it doesn't go anywhere. So farmers markets are essential to this sustainable food system in Alaska. Yeah, I don't know. We have quite a bit of information. You want to go to the next slide there, Robbi?
Yeah, I just I've rearranged it just a little bit, Brad. So I added this in just because we got the amazing news from Lorinda and Kimberly over at the DEC yesterday that they have deemed farmers markets essential and had come out with a list of guidance and protocol for running markets this year. And they worked with our association to come up with some best practices, things that we've seen other markets and market associations do around the nation. So that was a very vital partnership between our two organizations, and we're very, very excited to be able to announce that. So yay!
Yay! Yes, big deal.
Right.
So I really loved Colleen's carrot graphic earlier, and what different things, all encompassing, that farmers markets do. There's perception out there that farmers markets are this old-timey cutesy thing, but really what they are is they're the backbone of our local community food system. They are the vehicle for the decentralization of this food system. They're a place for local businesses to begin and to grow into the businesses of the future of our communities. Really, I was asked recently, so what's the greatest challenge facing farmers in Alaska? And I said something about access to land, but really what we're trying to encompass here and what we're chasing after this problem is that there's a lot of mouths in Alaska that need to be fed, and it's going to take a lot of food and producers to get them fed. So that is our main challenge, is feeding people healthy, nutrient-dense, locally produced food. And farmers markets are amazing in accomplishing that goal. And these are some of the graphics we got from the FMC, just kind of showing around the country what farmers markets have done. I mean, this is incredible numbers. 13 full-time jobs per 1 million in earned revenue, 9,491 acres of farmland are in diversified production. You know, farmers markets, I tell people all the time, are one of the most diverse places you can go, especially here in Fairbanks. The farmers market is, it's for every creed, color, race, religion, income, gender. There, it's for everybody, and I think that's part of the, you know, our mission, our goal is to put the food that is Alaskan producers are growing, makers are making, into the hands of those who need it the most, and not just for one cross section of the society, but to everybody. Um, you know, here in Alaska, we have grown. The farmers market industry has, in the last 13, is it 13 years? Uh, we had 13 markets, Division of 2005, 14, 15 years, goodness gracious. So now it's grown to 37, and in 2017, there are 41 farmers markets across the state. You know, this increase in access is just getting more of that healthily, locally produced food into people. And, you know, something, a big barrier for the future of agriculture are young farmers. And without a built-in market, it's hard to convince young people to become farmers. So I think the most valuable thing that we can do for the future of agriculture is to have a vibrant farmers market in every community across this country, across this state. You know, we can't just have all of our food produced in one place. We need it produced closer to the people that are eating it. And it doesn't only provide food security, but it provides economic benefit for those, each of those communities that have their own grower, their own market. And I feel like the work that we're doing, the education that we're giving to market managers and to community organizations through having conferences like this, it's getting us closer to that goal of eating everybody. This is what we want to do. So you want to jump on this one?
Yeah, so when we were designing our Farmers Market Association, we realized that our state is huge, as you guys all know, and it's also very diverse. So, what may work in Homer for a farmers market may not work for Fairbanks or, say, Glen Allen. So, what we were striving to do is to come up with some very basic structures, protocols, educational opportunities, but really, as Colleen mentioned in her talk, uh, allow markets and encourage markets to keep this independent spirit and really let it represent their own communities. So again, Anchorage is going to be very different than a Kodiak farmers market. We also recognize that the Arctic is experiencing warming at twice the rate of the rest of the world. So while this brings a lot of negative effects, it could also increase our capacity to grow more food in a warmer climate. Alaska may be able to help step in and feed more people. We also have a lot of food insecurity in Alaska. Over 95% of our food is imported. Um, as far as SNAP goes, we had about 14% of the state is on food assistance. So, and then if you're Alaska Native, that jumps up to over 30% of Alaska Natives are food insecure and twice as likely to be food insecure as white populations. So by building these farmers markets, we're hoping to build markets for farmers to scale up and to increase their production and hopefully chip away at some of this 95% of the food that's imported. That's about a $2 billion cost that's going, money that's going outside of the state instead of staying within our communities.
So yeah, just like Robbi was saying, only 5% of foods consumed in Alaska are grown in Alaska. And you know, we're looking in times like these with the economic impacts of COVID. I mean, what better way to have a system in place that we're encouraging more local food production where the money stays here, it is here, it feeds people. So increasing that level, I mean, as a farmer myself at a farmer's market, our issue is not selling what we grow, is being able to keep up with the demand for what customers want. And so, in the past, this is a great one. We lead the nation in young farmers or new farmers that have been farming under 10 years. Of these farmers in Alaska, the majority of them are farming small plots, selling direct to consumer. So what the farmers of now are telling us in the state is the type of farming that is financially viable and feasible is a direct consumer model, that it's good for the families of the farm families, it's good for the towns, it's good for the markets. And we can't expect people to produce food unless they're able to support themselves and their families financially. And if you value of food sold directly to consumers, look at that increase, over double in the last 7 years. So the demand is there, the markets are coming, they're here, the producers are growing. So these pieces that we need to put in place so that all these mouths get all this food or get coming closer together. Oh my gosh, this might be one of my favorite ones. So we also have the highest percentage of female farmers in the nation. 47% of our farmers are women. Hey, let me tell you, I go to a lot of food system meetings in Alaska, and women are running the food system here. Like, we're just trying to keep up, us guys, and
Love.
not even trying, just trying to keep it somewhere in that 6-foot distance that we need to keep, So it's a beautiful thing that we have farmers that are being supported that aren't necessarily that idea of what farmers are, but that are populations that need this work. And anyway, yes, Homer Farmers Market, go for it.
Okay, so now I'm sorry, we're kind of condensed for time, but so I'm gonna give you guys a quick overview of how we started this Farmers Market Association. But first, I want to give a shout out for these beautiful graphics. These were created by the Alaska Farmland Trust, and I think just about everybody and their dog that are associated with Alaska's food system have used these in their presentations, and they're just super powerful images to back up these super powerful stats. So speaking of Farmland Trust, Miss Amy Pettit, about 10 years ago, was actually the catalyst for starting the first Farmers Market Association for the state. And it operated for about a year or two, and didn't get a lot of traction. Amy likes to say that she was ahead of her time, and I totally agree with it. But within that first year or two, they were able to achieve a nonprofit status, get bylaws in place, and come up with the beautiful logo that we are still using. So many props to the first iteration of this. But I've been a farmers market manager in Homer. This will be my 10th season coming up. It'll be very crazy, weird 10th season as we adjust to this pandemic, but it's been one of the most rewarding jobs I've ever had. But in 2015, we received an FMPP grant. So it's a farmers market promotion grant through the USDA. And our project was expanding access and solidifying state networks. So as a market manager, I kept looking for opportunities to talk with managers within the state, and was only finding conferences outside of Alaska. And while that's great and all, we all know Alaska is very special and we play by our own rules. So we wanted to come up with a way to bring folks together. And so part of this grant was to host our first ever conference. So in the spring of 2017, we took over a really gaudy, insane mansion in Homer. It was actually the cheapest venue we could find, and we had over 50 people and about 25 markets from around the state represented. So this is a photo from that. Many of the folks in here are still involved in our market association. And then in 2017, we wrote another FMPP grant. And as Cook Inlet Keeper hosted it, and it's part of their local foods program. It's a way to build more regenerative communities and economies, feeding communities, building jobs. So thank you, Inlet Keeper, for hosting us and letting us build this organization. So again, our aim is to build more resilient communities through local food economies, but also to grow and empower new leaders. And if you are on this call, you are all a leader. And then I just threw in some pictures of some awesome farmers market photos from around the state. We have Brad there, the right-hand corner, him and his family. Incidentally, 2019 Alaska Farm Family of the Year. And so I'm just going to go through our 5 objectives really quick of this grant, just so we can let you guys know what we've been doing. So our first objective was just to get the association rolling again, and also to create some baseline data so we could help see if farmers markets were growing as far as sales and attendance goes. So we worked with initially with the Division of Ag to launch this Meet Me at the Market program, where we had 2 awesome interns who you'll hear from next. You're going to hear about the different data they've been collecting over the last 2 years, and also with the Farmers Market Coalition on some methods for collecting these metrics. Brad, do you want to do the next one? Because I've been talking a lot. Oh, you're muted, Brad.
Oh, better this way, huh? So we held that first annual conference, and then last year we partnered with the Alaska Food Policy Council and held another conference and food festival. We had a dedicated farmers market track. We had our first ever annual meeting and set goals for what our Farmers Market Association was going to try to do going forward and who we want to be. Now our intention is to hold another annual meeting and see growth on the market statewide. And we want to expand the number of sustainable long-term farmers markets statewide. We had all of our board members attended the Washington State Farmers Market Association. Robbi and I were able to attend the USDA Direct Marketing Conference, and Robbi attended a Community Food Systems Conference. Really what we're trying to do is to utilize the information that other market associations that have been around and more established, to learn the lessons from them and bring back as much information into this unified voice that we have here as a Farmers Market Association. I feel like essentially what we're here for is for a situation like the COVID situation we're having right now, that the farmers market was able to work with the partners that we've built up over the years to have a great recommendation with DEC go to the state. And a lot of that came from information that we've been able to glean from other states through a lot of the education and professional development that we've gotten to do through the grant.
Here's another picture. So a big part of this grant was helping to get our board trained so we could also continue to spread that information to our vendors and our other networks. So this was a really fun time down in Washington State. So we've been nurturing and building that connection for a while. Our next objective was to provide outreach and advertising funding to markets around the state. So the past 2 years, we've been able to give markets a total of $50,000 split between 12 to 15 markets every year. So they've been able to do Chef at the Market demonstrations. We've given out some pretty awesome swag. So you can see here we're at Salmon Fest with our food wheels. So these have been a really awesome hit. It shows what is available at a farmer's market year round. So you can look at fall, summer, all that kind of stuff. And then we also partnered with Fresh on a meal planner tool. So these have been very, very handy. Lots of getting, especially with getting kids more involved. So that tangible, artsy kind of a tool. Folks have really liked that. We also came out with a 2018 farmers market guide, which was inserted into Edible, and then we have tons of these all over the state. We also update our online list every year, so we have a database of all the markets and when and where you can find them. Here's an example of last year we did reusable veggie bags, and these were provided to all of our member markets free of cost as a giveaway, and a way to just increase awareness of shopping at farmers markets. And then we also have worked with Homer and Kenai Soil and Water Conservation Districts to do some farmers market outreach. Heidi and her crew put together the state's largest farmers market. It was the Harvest Moon Festival. I believe there was over 2,000 people that came through. So that's an annual event for them that we were able to assist with through this grant. So, and then our last objective was to help improve access to local foods by increasing the number of markets that accept SNAP and EBT. So to date, we've been able to help 3 markets get onboarded to accept SNAP. Brad has worked with the state government on being able to cover equipment for farmers markets. And we also worked with the Health and Human Services Department to create this guide for getting onboarded as a farmer's market or a producer. So that's all on our website. We've also been engaged in some advocacy issues. So last year when the Division of Ag was on the budget to get cuts, we teamed up with some different ag organizations across the state to send letters of support in, letting our legislators know how important the Division of Agriculture is to markets and farmers around the state. And then, as I mentioned earlier, we worked with the DEC Food Safety and Sanitation Division to come up with some COVID-19 guidelines and to get markets declared essential. One other thing we've done, Brad, do you want to do this one?
Sure. We have also been working to advocate for food hubs, and we've worked with DC and got a variance for cottage foods to be able to be sold online through food hubs, considering them an online farmers market. And after has it been 2 years and with zero issues? And so that's really a great way to expand, and especially in this time of COVID, if some of our markets go to online, that would mean that cottage foods would also be able to be ordered that way. We've also been advocating for these other things, for policy updates, for food hubs in the muni, for how temperature monitoring, sales tracking, and maintaining shellfish tags. So yeah, we're just working for these direct-to-consumer sellers to get the resources they need so that they can continue feeding our state.
So right now I want to ask Rachel if she would be able to pop our poll up now. Oops.
I wanted to say, we also did some advocacy working with the Alaska Food Council. Is that right? Council, Alaska Food Council, Food Policy Council, and Food Coalition, sorry, this spring or this winter in Juneau, trying to advocate for farmers markets being a vehicle for food access through SNAP and WIC and senior farmers markets, and also to advocate for the Division of Agriculture's program funding. And also we partnered with the Alaska Farmland Trust and the Farm Bureau to do lunch and learn to let people know how this growth in farmers markets and farmers has been going.
Okay, so Rachel has graciously put our poll up. If you can see it, let's get a thumbs up. Or okay, awesome. So if everyone could take just a minute, it's a short 3-part poll. We're just trying to get a gauge on who's in the room.
And hopefully no one's in the wrong meeting.
I just threw that one in for fun. All right, if you haven't completed it, do it now because we're running just a little bit late. Rachel, I'm curious if you got any stats on there yet.
We've got 50% of people have voted. 28% of us are market managers, 43% are supporters, and you could pick a bunch of, that was multiple answer. And then single choice, we have 12 people who are AFMA members. 13 are joining today.
Yeah, well, that's a great lead in to how do you join the Alaska Farmers Market Association. So this is all on our website, and I just wanted to throw the details up here because if you've liked this conference, if you've appreciated the advocacy or even the swag that we've provided, we do need help. Our grant will be up in November, but we will be applying for more. We would like to reach a level where we can be self-sustaining. We're not there yet, but I know Brad and I and our whole board want to continue to advocate for farmers and farmers markets. So this is our sliding scale structure. That being said, we will never turn anyone away that wants to be a member. So if you can't afford the market, sign up, or the fee, just sign up anyway. We want to support you. And just wanted to give another shout out to our awesome board of directors. We've tried to get a range of managers and then organizers across the state, and I'm going to read the list because they're so awesome. Amy Pettit, Palmer Farmland Trust, Barbara Landy of the amazing South Anchorage Farmers Market, Bernie, she is our Kodiak Farmers Market Manager, Brad, Tanana Valley, Fairbanks in the house, Colin, he is the director of the Salt and Soil Marketplace Food Hub, is based in Juneau, but they serve different communities around the southeast. Elaine, Soldotna Saturday Market, me, Homer Farmers Market, and Cook Inlet Keeper. Sierra, she is the owner and manager of Twisted Root Market in Wrangell, and the amazing Heidi Che and Kyra Wagner of the Soil and Water Conservation Districts in Homer and Kenai. And as Brad said, I'm going to let Brad, do you want to take this one since it's your hashtag? You're muted. Brad, you're muted.
Well, you could tell I was talking because my hands were doing this, you know? So yeah, rock stars gotta rock. And, you know, I fully feel that everybody that has spoken, that is a farmer, that has sold at a market, you guys are freaking rock stars. And that's what rock stars do, is they rock. And so we're getting through this. I wanted to say one more thing about being a member of AFMA, is you don't have to be a market. You don't have to be a farmer. You can be a business that supports and encourages local food to be distributed to farmers markets, and you can become a member. We're a 501c3. It is a tax-deductible donation. So reach out to business people you know that would be interested in supporting us. Yeah, and thank you everybody for being involved, for making AFMA what it is.